Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I would like to invite you to listen Monday through Friday right here on Spaced Out Radio. 3 hours a night of the top stories with the top guests, ranging topics from UFOs to ETs, ghosts to Sasquatch, and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Sky with 6316, 8.8 for 6,000.
Got 6316, North Gale Approach, going to maintain 3,000, number 1 for the right.
3,000, Sky with 6316.
Redwood 811, going to maintain 4,000. Airport's open to Fox 1.
We take you higher and higher and higher. You feel it over and over again. We take you higher and higher and higher. You feel it over and over again.
6 Roman Carefly runway heading runway 5. Let's take off.
Check!
And we're ready for takeoff. Sit back, relax. It's time to travel with Cosmic Passport. Spaced Out Weekend presents Elizabeth Anglin's Cosmic Passport. A 1-hour warm-up of news, stories, thoughts, and ideas to captivate your mind. You can follow us at spacedoutradio.com.
Now 20 years have passed us by, and we look back and count the time. Burning like the summer sun when the world was young. As I lay staring from the ground, and 7 trumpets wait to sound.
And now, here's Our Lady of Flight, Cosmic Passport with Elizabeth Anglin.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio Weekend. This is Cosmic Passport with your host Elizabeth Anglin. I'm on for the next hour before James Tyson comes in with Spaced Out Radio Weekend proper. We're so glad to have you here on spacedoutradio.com if that's where you're listening through. If you're listening through Revolution Radio, welcome. If you're listening through TuneIn or another place, even terrestrial radio, welcome. Thank you for being here. If you are listening through another website like Freedom Slips at Revolution Radio, thank you for supporting Revolution Radio. Please keep in mind that Revolution Radio is an all-listener-supported radio station, online radio station, and think about getting them some of your, hard-earned or not so hard-earned dollars to help keep them going. Yes, my cat sometimes sounds like she's knocking on the door and she makes the dog bark. I'm sorry about that. But moving on now. This Spaced Out Radio Weekend, wow, it's been a crazy week. My goodness, I just don't know what to say. So I felt with all the chaos that it was time to bring the room down with a little bit of contemplation and meditation, contemplation about meditation, why it is important, but also about philosophy, the philosophy of spiritual growth, spiritual evolution, intuitive evolution, meditation, mindfulness, and all of the things that we may take for granted as we work in the paranormal, but we really will serve us on the path. The first thing is really generating a higher vibration, a vibration of calmness, a vibration of connectedness, a vibration of not taking things personally, not being in the ego. And this was where I was really challenged this week, especially on Wednesday, if you read any of my posts, because there were things going on where all of a sudden people were coming out of left field and saying, you're the reason why my life is this way, and it was something bad. And it was like, but I don't want to be the reason anybody's life is bad. Why are you saying that? So one of the things I wanted to talk about are the purpose and the place of some of the really good precepts or numbered paths. These are paths to take us out of making the negative solid, significant, and real in our lives, making lower states of consciousness changing them, transforming lower states of consciousness, lower states of beingness into higher states, also transforming us, bringing us out of stress, bringing us out of shock, bringing us out of anger, frustration, and rage. If you're working in the paranormal, and especially if you're working in places where traumas have happened, where somebody has been killed out of anger, frustration, and rage, where there are beings on the astral plane who still haven't dealt with things, it's really important to take responsibility for your own stuff, your own vibrational energy, your own mindfulness, your own meditation, your own consciousness, and your own feelings about yourself in relationship with other people, whether you have the same opinions about what's going on in the world, or even just what's in front of your face in the moment, or whether you have very, very different ones. So I'm bringing up some numbered paths, unnumbered learnings and principles that I find are the best and that help me the most, and also are sort of springboards into practice, into deeper intuitive practice, deeper magical practice, deeper understanding of reality. And the first one, this is, we've all read the book, or if you haven't, please go get the book. It's The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And it's so perfect for this week. And I'm just going to read them out loud so that, people who have been debating with others this week, talking with others this week, feeling hurt, feeling put upon, feeling misunderstood, let's get back to the Four Agreements. This is a numbered path that we can take back to sanity with each other and back to a good relationship. The first agreement is be impeccable with your word. And what that means is not, somebody else did something, so I can now not be impeccable with my word. It is, I am responsible for my word, and I'm speaking from my integrity. This is what I really feel. So the first part of it is speak with integrity. Are you saying something that comes from a true belief for you? Are you saying something that comes from your soul? Are you saying something that you believe will be true for a longer period of time than just temporarily? And basically, are you speaking out of anger of the moment? Are you speaking out of longer-term truths that you know about yourself? The second part of this is say only what you mean. Don't add to it. Don't put somebody else's something on it. Just only say what you mean. And avoid using the word the third part is avoid using the word or words to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. And what that means is no matter what you say, it's really you're gossiping about somebody else when you're saying, well, because so-and-so did this, I can now do this. Or because so-and-so did this, blah, 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 blah. Or so-and-so is this. Number 3 is avoid using the word to speak against yourself. Don't say anything bad about yourself, but also don't say bad things about other people, especially if you don't have first-hand knowledge. And number 4 is use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. This is the one that has the most mystical, magical, and esoteric part of this agreement. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. So if you can think a little bit outside of the box here, if you start using your word to just say positive principles, today I accept truth, beauty, and love in all of my interactions, or today divine order wholeness, wellness, harmony, and oneness happens in my entire life, or if you ask the universe, how come there's so much divine wholeness, order, wellness, happiness, and oneness, think about all the positive words that you could possibly be saying and sing them. Think about all the positive things that you would like and say them and ask the universe, universe, how do you want to give me these positive things today? How do you want to create this positivity in the world today? So number 4 is use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. What's really true? What's really true is everybody's hurt in some way. Everybody wants to be healed. Everybody wants to progress. Everybody wants opportunities. Everybody wants to be accepted and loved for who and how they are. And everybody wants to be safe and well and healthy and whole and have friends and have families and have animals. Think about all of the things that are true and speak to those truths versus gossiping or speaking against someone or demonizing. So the first agreement is be impeccable with your word. When you start to get back to being impeccable with your word, even I had to do it this week. I was not always perfect. But when you start to get back to being impeccable with your word, it becomes easier. The second agreement in the 4 agreements is don't take anything personally, which is don't make whatever it was that somebody said or somebody did or somebody overlooked solid, significant, and real and about you. And the first reason is nothing's others do, by and large, is because of you. So everybody is dealing with their own stuff. The second part of this is what others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. So somebody could be having a nightmare and you could have stumbled into it and they could be fighting you off like you're a big scary dragon. And you're trying to say, but I'm giving you love and good vibes and I want everything to be all right. Well, smack, smack, smack. No, you're in my nightmare and you don't look like that gentle butterfly fairy being. You look like a big scary dragon, so I'm going to skewer you with my sword. Be aware that whatever projection they have, wherever their mental space is, whatever pain they're dealing with, whatever healing they're dealing with, whatever unhealing they're dealing with, it's going to, depending on where you wind up and with whom you're in interaction with, it's their reality. It doesn't have to be yours. And even if you go at somebody with the kindest and gentlest and most compassionate of feelings, they may come at you swinging anyway. So what others say and do is a projection of their own reality, of their own dream. You don't have to buy into it. You can just back up and say, okay, I understand you're dreaming. We'll just back off here. The third part of this is that when you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. It's really, really important. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. So, for example, if you were on the side of the coin this week where, as I heard from some friends, you were asked to leave the country or you were otherwise, verbally or otherwise, attacked in one way or another from either side of the American issue this week, a kind of strength of immunity of that being that person's opinion and belonging only to that person, and that the actions that that person or those people are taking belong only to them. You don't have to own them. You don't have to say, because that person did this to me or did this toward me or this person said this to me or said it toward me, I now own it. It's now mine. It's now my problem. If you don't own it for them, if you don't take it from them, you don't have to be the victim of needless suffering. You can basically say, oh no, I don't want that plate of hot steamy poo. Whether or not you can say it physically to them, you can energetically say, hot steamy plate of poo goes back to you, and I'm not accepting that. That's not part of my reality. I understand it's your opinion. I understand it's coming from your dream. I understand that the actions that you're doing are coming from your opinion, and it's coming from your dream of your own reality. But I'm going to pass it back to you because I don't own that. You don't get to make it mine. So don't take anything personally. It makes you strong. It allows your spirit to feel safe enough to come into your body. Energetically, what it does, and what happens is when people get frightened or angry, when we get the fear ego going, or we get the flight or fight going, oftentimes what happens is the body prepares for fight or flight by kind of kicking the spirit out. And it says, I got to have a lot of adrenaline, and I might have to be very, very physical here, and I'm not sure what to do. I might just have to, go berserker and go into the unconscious and dig really deep into my darkness and protect my body. So spirit out while I protect my body. No, if you don't allow somebody else's reality to become your reality, if you don't own it, your spirit's going to come back in and ground much more easily. And that's going to allow everything about your body and your mind and your spirit to function more easily. And it's also going to protect you from immune system illnesses and other things down the road. So don't take anything personally as important, because whether they're verbal, astral, psychic, physical, whatever you experience as an attack or as somebody wanting to put a big steamy plate of poo on you, if you don't take it personally, your energetic and your psychic and your astral immune system is really strong if you're not taking it personally. You're not letting it in. Yeah, okay, big deal. I'm not letting that in. So really important. I'm wondering how many people are going to get the flu next week from the way everybody's feeling on, oh my gosh. So, number 3 of the 4 agreements, don't make assumptions. This is really important. One thing I realized is that the people who were giving me their big steamy plates of poo were making assumptions about me, and they didn't know me. And when I realized that I didn't have to buy into their assumptions, and I could just say, well, wait a minute, you're making an assumption. You don't know who I am or what I did or what my thoughts are. So I'm not going to buy into it and defend myself because you just made an assumption that's not true. So also the same thing. Don't make an assumption about someone else, but also don't accept other people's assumptions about you. Say, wait a minute, that's an assumption. Why are you doing that? So also find the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. If you really want to have a civil discourse, if you really want to have friendship, if you really want to have love, if you really want to have good feelings, find the courage to ask, why is this not happening? Well, this is what I really want to have. I really want to be friends with you. I really want to have a conversation that doesn't include reactive name calling or whatever else is going on. Be courageous, ask the questions, and tell the person that you're in relationship with or conversation with, or even a work situation, express what you really want to have. The second part of this is communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. And that's kind of just that, and sometimes that requires self-meditation and self-reflection first. You might be putting some stuff on a person and not be aware that you're doing it, and then you're not being clear because you're expressing whatever it is to the wrong person, or you're asking for what you want to the wrong person. So the second one's a little harder. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, and that does require being clear within yourself about what you're communicating and why. But you want to do this because you want to avoid sadness and drama. And then the third part is, with just this one agreement, you can completely transform your life. think about that for a second. If you're looking at someone and you see them, or they say, I did such and such, and then all of a sudden you have this whole set of assumptions that you're making about the person, that's not going to be helpful. The next thing you want to do is ask them questions. Ask them questions about who they are, how they feel, what's going on with them. And if there's anything that you need from the person, ask for it. Communicating clearly, so that they don't misunderstand who you are and what you're about. It'll transform your life. But allowing yourself and allowing others to make assumptions about each other, this is when we get Viking shield walls and Joan of Arc out running across fields, all skewering each other, or even just between two people. So don't make assumptions about others. Be open to asking the questions. Be courageous to ask the question before you engage in sadness and drama and conflict. The fourth agreement is always do your best. Your best is going to change from moment to moment, and it will be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick. And under any circumstance, simply do your best, and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. This is really important for people even as we age. A lot of times we can't do the things that we used to do. We don't have the physical or mental or other faculties that we used to have. Just do your best. This is also important when you've received some upsetting news. Cognitively, you're not going to function the same way. Emotionally, you're not going to function the same way. Just do your best. So in times of stress, in times of worry, in times of conflict, calm yourself, think about the task at hand, and just do your best with it. And that way, you will have no regret. Well, okay, these things were going on, but I did my best. And I'm proud of myself for doing my best. I deeply and profoundly love myself for doing my best. So the 4 agreements, if you haven't read the book, it's a good book. Or you can just, grab them online and post them on your fridge or put them on your mirror in the morning. They're a really, really good tool to have. Okay, we're going to go a little bit more esoteric now, and then I'll answer questions in about 20 minutes. So if you guys have any questions about your path or what's been going on, I'm going to be looking on chat in about 20 minutes. But just to let you know. Okay, if you're wanting to do paranormal work, which most of us are. That's why we're here. We want to know about aliens and ghosts and demonic possessions and energies that are left over. Well, guess what? That's kind of a magical path. It's kind of, we're kind of the modern, I hate to say it because, I'm a Christian. I wouldn't want to admit to being a witch, but we're kind of the modern witches and wizards because we're really looking at what's beyond just the physical, what's going on in the spiritual, what's going on at deeper levels. And to do that, we really do need to practice and contemplate some philosophy and some precepts and some principles that lead us to unfolding our own intuition, our own energy fields, our own abilities, and, dare we say it, our own ability to do things that may seem magical. So this is where I'm getting the magic from. Like I said, I don't like to really say that I'm magical because I consider myself a born-again Christian, but, really the things that we talk about have to do with magic. Paranormal is kind of magical. So one of the things I found today was, and I'm going to read this and then I'm going to go on to the Eightfold Path because this is the Eightfold Path is a kind of tool for meditating or things that you can meditate on that will help you become very, very clear and also very ethical. And it's a Buddhist principle for Buddhist meditators. Buddhism is not meant to be a religion. It's meant to be a philosophy, and it's meant to be really it's a wisdom philosophy, because the Buddha that taught it was, quote unquote, the big dude of wisdom. So I guess I'll get into it right now. If you're meditating to increase your intuition, if you're meditating to understand or see the astral plane or have contact with spirits, or be able to become strong enough to do prayer healings and other things, the Eightfold Path is the contemplation of the Eightfold Path is a good idea. There are 3 sets of aspects of contemplation. The first set is wisdom, is contemplating your own wisdom. Are you going about something with right understanding? And I like to do this just directly. I like to ask my guides. I like to sit in meditation and say, do I have the right understanding of this situation? Do I have the right understanding of the motivations, of the greater aspects of everything that's playing into this? And if I receive the answer is no, spend more time meditating on this, spend more time being open, spend more time listening, spend more time asking questions. The idea, it gets back to the 4 agreements. Be courageous enough not to make assumptions, but be courageous enough to ask questions. And allow whatever it is, whether it's a person, a situation, an animal, a problem, allow it to tell you what's going on with it, or them to tell you what's going on with them, so you can have right understanding of either your relationship or the understanding. So the first part of the Eightfold Path is right understanding. You want to seek to contemplate, to meditate, to ask questions toward having right understanding. The next one is right aspiration. And this is important, really important, and a lot of people don't know why. If you want to be intuitive, if you want to have powers to heal, if you want to do prayer healing, if you want to do Reiki, if you want to cast out demons, if you want to work in the paranormal as a paranormal healer, if you want to learn more about the mysteries of where we are, right aspiration is very, very important. And there are some teachers, even in Buddhism, who will not teach you anything toward intuition or healing or tantric healing or anything else without knowing that your aspiration is to save all sentient beings from suffering. This is called bodhicitta. And actually just saying that you intend to save all sentient beings from suffering raises your vibration tremendously. So having the right aspiration, the aspiration is not to become the all-powerful magical being who is either Voldemort on one side or the good guy with a white beard, I can't remember his name, on the other side, or Harry Potter. Right aspiration is to save all sentient beings from suffering, and that sentient being could be a ghost. It could be an animal if you're doing animal communication. It could be somebody if you're doing fringe work in the astral plane when you're sleeping. If your aspiration is to save all sentient beings from suffering, you're going to raise your vibration, and you're immediately going to attract beings of goodness and light who want to help you, because that is also their aspiration, and you are interconnected. So in terms of wisdom on the Eightfold Path, you want right understanding, being courageous enough to ask questions, being courageous enough not to make assumptions, and to really try to understand what's going on with a person, place, thing, animal situation, and then right aspiration. Not to dominate, not to control, not to have power, but to save all sentient beings from suffering, to have true unconditional love. Because if you really want to save somebody from suffering, you got to love them, right? And you got to love them unconditionally, and to truly want them not to feel any sort of pain or suffering. That's right aspiration. I hate to define it. Some people would be like, oh, well, is my aspiration to climb the mountain? Well, sure. If you're going to save all sentient beings or say, a million mantras that will end up save all sentient beings while you climb the mountain, sure, that's right aspiration. So it can look like a lot of different things, but it's really about being of service in a very deep and connected way. That's right aspiration. The second of the three overheadings is morality and ethics. And this gets back to the 4 agreements. Right speech. Be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or others or gossip about them. So the 4 agreements and the Eightfold Path actually do go together in terms of morality. Right speech is really, really, really important. Right action. Right action can get complicated. Sometimes we feel that we are meant to interfere in some drama that's taking place with somebody else over there, America and other people, some drama that's taking place with somebody else or somebody else's dream. Sometimes we feel it is our business to meddle. That's not right action. Sometimes we feel it is our business to be judge, jury, and executioner. Not our business. So right action really comes down to what actions do you take on the path that lead you to greater understanding, right aspiration, right speech, right, and the rest of the path is right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, and lead to your growth and lead to the wellness, wholeness, prosperity, abundance, happiness, lack of suffering for yourself and everyone around you and the world. So right action is not, I'm going to go meddle over here. But right action might be, I'm going to get up in the morning and I'm going to go bag groceries even though I hate the job. So, because why? Because I need to have a job and I need to earn my living honestly. So thinking about the ways that right action prevents stress for others, stress for yourself, but also increases the positivity is important, and it's a big part of morality. Do you take care of yourself? Do you earn your living honestly? We're going to get into the 5 principles of Reiki. Right action is a big one. Earning your living honestly, honoring other people. It's part of right action. Right livelihood. Are you doing the thing that you are meant to be doing here, that is yours to do? Are you in the right profession? Are you in a profession that has right understanding attached to it? Is it something that you're good at? Is it something that you naturally gravitate toward? Right livelihood is also very important for morality. So if you're thinking of morality in Buddhist terms, right speech, right action, right livelihood are sort of the 3 pillars of the morality. And it's also the clarity of mind that comes from having those things in order, right speech, right action, right livelihood. In terms of meditation, concentration, right effort. A lot of us Americans, we don't want to put no stinking effort into no meditation, man. Oh my God, what are you asking me to do? I have to get on Facebook now. I need to write a letter. I need to go wash the dishes. I need to, paint my toenails. But concentration and meditation is important, especially for people on the paranormal path. You should at least be able to do something meditative 10 to 20 minutes a day. That's what I tell people. But if you can do 40 or 45 twice a day, something that is meditative, that you put the time and the effort into clearing your mind of the dross and the me, and the them, and the that. Put some time and effort in to your concentrated processes, to using your mind, to increasing your intuition, to your meditation, to your unfoldment. Right mindfulness. Are you living in the moment? Or are you thinking about what happened last week, yesterday, 10 minutes ago, next week, when you were 2, what's going to happen when you're 40, what's going to happen when you're 82, or what your dog just did, or what your neighbor's dog just did that has nothing to do with you, or what Jesse, Bella, and Emma did that still has nothing to do with you, and you're 14. You know what I'm saying? Let's not be 14-year-olds. Right mindfulness is paying attention to what's in front of your face and being present with it. This is incredibly important for intuition, because when you get into things like remote viewing, you might be bored. There are some people who can't concentrate long enough to be present with a running stream. And in remote viewing, you need to be present with something long enough to figure out what it is and draw a picture of it. But then that leads back to, how often are you present enough with what's in front of your face in your life, like the dishes in your sink, or, you know, your shoes need a little cleaning, or you know, whatever the heck it is. So this gets to the right mindfulness. It's very Zen. Chop wood, carry water. Before enlightenment, what after enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. But these things are based on right mindfulness. And the Zen always believe, well, if you can maintain right mindfulness, you can attain enlightenment. But, you know, what's in right mindfulness? Being present with wherever you are, with whatever you're doing, completely and fully. Not in the past, not in the future, not over where those other people are doing something else. And then right concentration. And this is really identifying the things that make you unable to concentrate. You know, do you have fleeting thoughts? Do you have trapped emotions? Do you have mental chatter? All of these things, they basically pull you out of equanimity. They pull you out of the ability to have right mindfulness and right effort and right speech, because your brain's going, I can't believe that. Oh my God. What was that? Right concentration is, none of those things are important to the moment or what I'm doing right now. So guess what, y'all? Just get to all shut up, you voices in my head. That's one part of it. But it's also being present. Right mindfulness and right concentration go together. So that's the Eightfold Path, but it's a philosophy, but it's a wisdom philosophy. And when you're wondering, you know, why am I not progressing? Where am I getting stuck? And you find, oh, my aspiration is to become powerful. Well, that's only going to go so far. Or, oh, I've been gossiping. Or, oh, I've been, working this job I really hate. Or, oh, I'm not working at all. Or, oh, I'm just being a couch potato and I'm not making any effort. Or, oh, I'm either living in the past or living in the future. Then you know, okay, yeah, I'm stuck right there. Let's contemplate, why am I stuck right there? And let's just try to, meditate on changing that, on calming down, sitting in meditation, concentrating, being mindful, putting in some effort, changing my speech patterns, really wanting to be of service and to save all beings from suffering, really wanting to understand innately what right action is versus meddling or versus only doing the selfish thing, and also really being wondering, am I assessing situations? Do I have right understanding? And asking, am I understanding this? So wisdom, morality, concentration, right understanding, right aspiration, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. Check, 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 moving on. Now, a lot of people on here may or may not be Reiki practitioners. I'm bringing this up because if you are a Reiki practitioner, you're really working with strong energy. And you should be practicing every day so that it's like priming a pump when you're working with this energy. And this energy, when you're working with it, whether you're practicing on yourself or practicing on others, will bring up old stuff. It'll bring up stuff from your past. It'll bring up old emotions. It'll bring up old angers. It'll bring up worries. It'll bring up relationships all the time with your parents, your teachers, your friends, your neighbors, your cats, your dogs. It'll bring up stuff when you're working with energy, especially healing energy. And the Reiki principles came about because Mikao Usui, who was the rediscoverer of Reiki, thought that he could just go lay his hands on people and use this energy and heal them and, put them in a jobs training program once they were healed of their illnesses, and their lives would just turn out ducky. And he found out that within 7 years of him just, healing people, not asking for anything, doing it out of the goodness of his heart, putting them in job training, getting them good jobs, basically doing a Pygmalion on a bunch of people in Tokyo, he found out that they were going back to begging and being sick and pretending they were sick. And so he developed and said, if you're going to do healing, if you're going to do this work, here are some principles. And the first one is, just for today, do not anger. Just for today, do not worry. Just for today, honor your fathers, your parents, your teachers, your neighbors, and your friends. Now, some people say your parents, your teachers, and your elders, but no, it was your parents, your teachers, your neighbors, and your friends, and that could also be your siblings, because it has to do with every person that you're in relationship with, not just the ones who are older than you who want to boss you around, but the ones who are peers and the ones who are younger. Give thanks, earn your living honestly, which means right livelihood. Give thanks for every living thing, which is appreciating and blessing all the animals, even if they annoy you, like rats and rodents and tarantulas and the things we're scared of. And be kind to everything. Be kind to every living thing. So that's also not wanting all sentient beings not to be suffering. If you're kind to all sentient beings, everything that lives, that's practicing right aspiration. What's your aspiration? Kindness today. So if you're a Reiki practitioner, even if you aren't, if you take these principles and try to apply them every day and do a self-review on whether you've applied them, you can count up how many times you got angry in a day. You can count up how many times you were incredibly worried during the day. You can count up all the times you weren't grateful. You can count up all of the madness you have at your parents, and then you can also take a look at your career and then find out how many bugs you stepped on. But I'll tell you what, if you do that, you raise your vibration, because as you contemplate it, you move the energy of what's making you get angry, what's making you worry, what's making you not be grateful, what's making you be ho-hum about earning your living honestly. All of these things come to your consciousness, and sometimes the things that come to your consciousness just energetically clear on their own because you thought about them. So anyway, we used to call these the 5 principles of Reiki. That's why I put them in the numbered column. But they're good too. All right, I haven't looked at the chat rooms, and I don't know if James is still around. But he's snoring. Oh my goodness! Just for today, aim to put James to sleep. Does anybody? Okay, so we have a question from the SOR Space Travelers from Joni. Where do I see you working with your mediumship? Wow, I haven't even seen you working with mediumship yet, Joni, but hold on. You're really meant to be a healer, Joni, and you want to start with that first. You want to start with physical healing mediumship, and that could be prayer healing, that could be Reiki, that could be anything where you're doing healing, but it's different. It's not quite evidential, so I'd almost go more into the psycho-spiritual healing with energy or medical intuition with energy. And those are forms of mediumship. Like when you work with Reiki and you really start doing it for a while, you'll start getting people's spirit guides in, and even friends and family, helping them heal, telling them what they need to know to heal. But even for you, there's also like going deep. It's almost like a kind of shamanism where you do soul retrievals. So there's a psychospiritual, shamanistic healing as well. That's more of your typical old style shamanism, like Sandra Ingerman would practice. So I would concentrate on anything that has to do with healing mediumship. And if you want the more westernized schools, Arthur Findlay in the UK will have classes on healing mediumship. I think at Lilydale they may have classes on healing mediumship, but then you have the shamanistic and the psychospiritual, and then you have medical intuition. And I know what's her name, Mace, teaches that. But I would start looking for those things first. I don't see you as a straight evidential, just give somebody the information they want today. It has to do with healing at a deeper level. Multiple electrical issues. Anger. Man, all the anger that was flying around this world this week, I don't know if you were angry or if people were angry around you, but the electrical issues were basically dealing with the slings and arrows of everybody's astral bullcrap, and just kind of, manifesting that and sort of it's almost like your protection system was sending those arrows to the lights and going, hey, poof, there goes the light, poof, there goes the light, or poof, the light's on. So multiple electrical issues have to do with anger, but I feel like you were protected, and I feel like the anger just bounced off and hit the electrical system. So that's what I see about that for Joni. I hope that's good. All right. Thank you, John, for liking to hear what I muse about. Let's see. Does anybody have any other questions? Oh, that's funny, James. Waiting. I'm supposed to be an elder. Wait until you're older. You're bad. Okay.
Isn't that how that works?
Yeah. Okay. No more questions. So I was going to read from you about the Tibetan Book of Spells, because, I hate to say that I'm kind of a witch or a wizard, but they found a Tibetan Book of Spells, and it's in a museum. And this is, it might have been made by a monk, it might have been made by a Bon shaman, but they say it's Buddhist because it looks like it's in Sanskrit. So there is this whole list of spells, and it goes along also with the 13 powers of the witch. But they're from two completely different, people in Tibet weren't running around England or Europe, or they weren't Wiccans. So what's interesting is how closely these things go along. This is it's a handmade book. It's a little over 1,000 years old. It's 9th or 10th century Duanhuang manuscripts. The monk has written his name in big letters in it. You can't miss it. And then he's written the ritual manual of Bhikshu Prajnaprabha. That was, I guess, his name, Bhikshu Prajnaprabha. And this is now in a British library. And here are his list of spells. A spell you can do if you want a prophecy. Okay. A spell you can do to bring demons under your power. As paranormal people, we need that spell. We need to bring demons under our power, but there's a spell, and this, Bhikshu Prajnaprabha had it. A spell to pacify malignant people. A spell to overcome wild animals. A spell to cause a spring to come forth to alleviate thirst, so you don't die of thirst. A spell to sharpen your insight. To create various valuable objects, to find a treasure, to cure an illness, to cure a severe illness up to the point of death, to cure an illness ghost with a trap, to cut off curses and bad births, to reverse water, making it flow upwards, to make water flow downhill again, to cure madness, we need that for James, to avoid being bitten by a dog, we need that for James, to divide two lovers, to reconcile two friends, and if you are unable to talk to others, there's a spell for that. If you just get tongue-tied, there's a spell for that. And if you want to be friendly with another person and you're too shy, there's a spell for that. And to bind someone. Now, I know there's some people who know how to bind people just fine. But this is in the Tibetan spell book. Now, if you look at the 13 powers of the witch, that witch's claim is, okay, a witch can give, to tie a knot and say the words, which is kind of spell casting itself. To put a hand on the head is a blessing conferred. Give success and love. Curse or bless through the goddess above. Speak to beasts and spirits alike. Command the weather, cast out a blight. Read the heavens and the stars of the night. Divine the future and give good advice. So that's prophecy and insight. Conjure treasure to find a treasure, and bring fortune to bear to make something valuable. Heal the sick, as the Tibetan monk was doing, and kill despair. This is my birthright to have and to share. Blessings to you. Person's name, may the spirits be fair. So I just find it magical in and of itself that things that are esoteric and mystical and magical in one far, far, far out of the place realm are exactly the same on the other side of the earth. I think that's fun. What do you think, James?
Yes.
Yes, you just saying that.
I did just now.
So, what have you got going on with Spaced Out Weekend tonight? What's going to happen there?
Well, what happened was I had a person scheduled, and she's down in Tennessee in a community where her phones go sideways. And for the last 2 weeks, they've been shutting down every second day for a few hours. So I just said, don't worry about it. We'll talk some other day. But what I want to do today is go over our list of answers that Joanna gave us when we were, and put it out because we need a list of new questions. As a result of her answers from that, we will need some follow-up questions. So that's what we're doing tonight. We're going to drill down into some of the things that, yes, okay, a Bigfoot is called an Ekko, and they come down here to breed because they need some kind of DNA. They need a DNA that has an evolutionary process to it. And, well, we want to know, like, what are they breeding with?
Right. Or they're breeding with each other.
Yeah, are they?
Or apes or what? Yeah.
And they're probably not breeding with a lot of apes in the Pacific Northwest or down in Colorado. We don't think.
No, but maybe they did a long time ago, because we didn't really ask about the time. But she said that they weren't breeding with humans. I remember that.
Yeah, that would hurt.
But yeah, that would hurt. Yeah, I would think so. But I remember her saying not humans, but maybe it was a while back that they, one of the other Gigantopithecus or something. We didn't really ask about that, as far as I remember.
Yeah, so and she said that we don't find, because they come, breed, and leave. They don't have like real little houses or anything. They have like temporary shelters. We never find the remains, and we don't find children. But there are stories of big ones and little ones, like a family. So we have to drill into that.
Yeah, we didn't get that out of Rob, did we?
No.
So am I staying on for this? Or,
only if you want.
Is Joanne?
Nobody.
Only
It's just me.
It's just you.
It's just me and the listener. And we're inviting them to call in, and if the ones who had listened to it, well, we'll go over the stuff. I'm going over my notes. Did you make any notes that day? Sorry.
No, I was just. Yeah, no.
That was a police question. Sorry. That was my police supervisor question. Okay, we'll get all the notes in. You made notes, right? No. Okay, you're fired.
No.
So
I was like, ooh, ooh, ooh.
Notes? We're supposed to make notes? What? It's recorded. We don't need to make notes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I made some notes, and I'll be going over my notes, including the reptilians, and I'd love to dig more into that John F. Kennedy assassination by 3 people involved, and only one of those 3 is the shooter, and he wasn't arrested. But we can't. Unless we can design a clever question that could sort of like trick. Is it hard to trick a spirit guide who knows everything?
I think we should go to, did we ask if JFK knew about the aliens?
No, we didn't ask anything. I just went straight to the assassination.
Yeah, because it was Rob answering sort of alien and Bigfoot questions. So we could ask, did JFK know about Bigfoot? Did JFK know about aliens? Was knowing about aliens the thing that got him killed, or not knowing about what did get him killed?
Yeah.
Like, quick, ask the question quick.
Ask the question. Yeah, so it's that legal thing. You always want to ask a question you either know the answer to or have reasonable expectation of the answer to be. And that way they perceive you know what's going on, and they'll just start talking to you like you're one of their friends. But, here we are trying to skate around a alien spirit guide.
We really can't. I tried to do that, remember? And he said, you already know the answer to that. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, okay, fine.
I do. Fine. If you say so. Busted. Somebody has a question.
Okay. I don't know where it is because I've moved on. So.
No, I missed it. I rolled.
It's clear to you that he'll know about your plotting to trick him right now? Damn.
Yes, it does. Actually, it occurs to us quite loudly and clearly.
Yes, that's what makes it funny. Those guys. And by the way, Revolution Radio, it's not going to happen on the weekends. And that's just because of the way they are dealing with Skype right now. But we are happy to include our friends, our new affiliate at the United Public Radio Network at 107.5 FM in New Orleans. And also, we have another one, too, the High Plains Talk Radio Network. So those are 2 networks that we're going to be very happy with and waving vigorously at them. And we'll give them a shout out when we come back, because we will.
Okay.
Right after this long, irritating break for about 6 minutes. Everyone grab a water.
Yeah.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I would like to invite you to listen Monday through Friday right here on Spaced Out Radio. 3 hours a night of the top stories with the top guests, ranging topics from UFOs to ETs, ghosts to Sasquatch, and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on 2 mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. 2 mediums and a large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for news beyond the mainstream news? Head to spacedoutradio.com and check out the SOR Spacewire. This is Spaced Out Radio's Eric Markham, News Director for the SOR Spacewire. Daily, I will bring you intriguing stories and outlandish reports from what's going on around the world. UFO sightings, paranormal activity, conspiracies, alternative health, and so much more. And if you have news, email me at news@spacedoutradio.com.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners. For only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
It's time to go live on Spaced Out Weekend.
13, please. Oh, hi, Kevin. Oh, is that the time? Kevin, my friend, don't you find that watch just a little bit loud? Well, I certainly hope our buddy Bumblefoot is playing when we get there. Oh, you stinky big bundle of hair. I said Bumblefoot, not Bigfoot. Oh, it's going to be a long night.
It's time to head to the 13th floor of the old log cabin for Spaced Out Weekend with James Tyson. You can tweet James at James Tyson SOR. You can find him on Instagram, Spaced Out Weekend, as well as on Facebook. On YouTube, our channel is Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can check out our website, spacedoutradio.com.
Little brother has taken control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all connected but separated, misunderstood and so frustrated. A million armies of one have invaded, watching you and watching me. We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong. I know you're out there somewhere. We watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And now, perched high in his captain's chair, way above the clouds, here's James Tyson.
Thank you, Dave Scott. It is I, James Tyson. I am your host of Spaced Out Weekend, and I want to welcome everybody to Spaced Out Weekend. And thanks for listening on spacedoutradio.com, on Spreaker, and our new affiliate, United Public Talk Radio Network and the High Plains Talk Radio Network. We welcome you to tonight's show, and we broadcast out of my cabin, yes, located here on the 13th floor of the Spaced Out Radio Network in the paranormal portals of the lower left Canadian coast. And here at Spaced Out Radio, we broadcast every night of the week as we want to be your one-stop shop when it comes to the supernatural, paranormal, conspiracy, UFOs, spiritual, and more. The guitar god, Rom Bumblefoot Thal, formerly of Guns N' Roses, is the man behind our music. Bumblefoot is the official sound of Spaced Out Radio. Also, you can check us out on Twitter at spacedoutradio.com. Give our Facebook page a like at Spaced Out Radio Show, or mine at Spaced Out Weekend on Facebook. On Instagram, you can follow Dave Scott at Dave Scott SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show, and find us on TuneIn. Download our shows from iTunes, and of course, our website, spacedoutradio.com. At this time, we'd like to say hello to everybody taking part in the chat rooms in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, along with our fans on Facebook at Euphoria Chronicles, Chronicles of the Unknown, Forest Moon Paranormal, and our flagship chat room, SOR Space Travelers. And hey, have you signed up for the SOR Space Travelers Club yet? It's $5 a month, and with that you get your name entered into a monthly prize draw. And I tell you, we may have to increase those because we have got so many prizes stacking up here in the cabin. You got to walk around them to get from one end to the other. You have access to the private group interviews, access to special section on our website, and much more. And we're giving you a hell of a lot more than just access to our archives. While at spacedoutradio.com, you can read our latest blogs and check out Eric Markham's SOR Space Wire for your latest in weird news. And I tell you, if anyone's going to dig up something weird, it's going to be Eric Markham. We also have a new feature on our website, the SOR Sightlines. Now, it's there for you. If you've had an experience and wanted it investigated by our researcher, Mike Smith, just fill out the Sightlines report and we'll get back to you. All information is 100% confidential. Again, I'd like to thank our new affiliate, United Public Radio Network at 107.5 FM in New Orleans, and their listeners from over 160 countries around the world. Again, thank you for dropping by Spaced Out Weekend. And remember to say hi to Dave Scott during the week, because I'm sure he's lonely out there. And tonight, one of the things, and what we talked about a little bit earlier with Elizabeth, was on October 29th, we had Joanna the Medium come on. And she spent 3 hours with us through her guide, Rob, which is a very spiritual name. Pretty sure it's short for Robert. But Rob is the name she calls her guide, who she found out basically was or is an extraterrestrial himself. Rob had been, over the last few months, since he kind of came into the picture, has been exposing Joanna to different realms, different beings, opening her eyes up to things that are outside of her comfort level. Yes, you know, she was really good at when Uncle Fred would come through and pass on some message, if Uncle Fred was having a message anyway, and your relatives were coming through if you had a specific question. She was getting really good at that, and all of a sudden things started to change. And we noticed at first when Elizabeth asked about a hair she got from a friend of hers, and Joanna said Sasquatch. And if you've got to know Joanna, that floored her. Just by telling her voice, I've met Joanna, and things like that kind of twisted her a bit, because she's not used to that. And when I asked if we could get DNA from that hair, what it would come back at, she said a species not known to man. So that happened, and then our friend Derek Faust from Utah, who has been having a number of encounters with what other people have described to him as multidimensional beings, or ninth dimensional or seventh dimensional. He asked Joanna, and Joanna, of course, doesn't know him from Adam, and he said, I took a picture of something in the sky on the way to work today. I was wondering if you'd tell me what it is. And Joanna from Rob says, family. Does this mean anything to you? And he was told that these multidimensional beings that have been coming to him more and more over the last year or so were his space family. So yeah, it meant something to him. And then the next thing she said was 7th dimensional or 9th dimensional beings. And, and then Joanna, being our good Polish immigrant, dropped the F-bomb because that was completely out of her bailiwick there of expertise. So what we decided to do was test Rob on October 29th. We spent 3 hours. We had a number of questions, and I did get criticized for these questions afterwards. It was like, why didn't you do your research before you asked the question? And I'm going to tell you right now, listener, that any research into cryptozoological or this kind of study, any research will be based on somebody else's reality, somebody else's research. So I'm not going to go ask somebody for their opinion or think, okay, this is based on your interview with somebody who I don't know, and I don't know you. So I know Joanna. For the last year, she's been really, really accurate on the stuff that she's been reading. And I'm just going to go through my questions like I would as a policeman. These are the questions I have. We'll get the answers, and then we'll determine where these questions lead. And that's where this show comes in. We're now going to go through some of her answers and see, with your help, where these may lead. Now, you can give me a call at 575-694-6634. Again, 575-694-6634. Or Skype at James_Tyson32. James_Tyson32. It's one of those interesting things. I want to get us all together. This is what we used to. Again, I've been inviting you to work organized crime with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. We've had time to mill over this stuff. We're now going to have a meeting. We're going to whip out the notebooks, and we're going to sit down and drill down some of these things. So Elizabeth is here because she and I were talking to Joanna. And we'll start with your notebook first. Go ahead. Never mind.
Mine? No, actually, I do have something.
Oh, good.
Because that time I got really frustrated with you. I was like, I have the question, because she said Korea. And I'll explain what the question was. So you were asking about, you kind of got to it that, I think you got to it about them. We asked Rob if aliens were... Oh, ow. Feedbacking. Hang on.
Christopher, hit your mute.
Me?
There you go. Go ahead.
Thanks, Christopher. Yeah, good. Yes, okay. Before I start, I have a question. Would I please nudge James and ask if he's going to take questions from the chat room? The answer is yes, we are going to take questions from
Which
the
chat room
room
did that come in from?
I'm on... He's on spacedoutradio.com, and I am on SOR Space Travelers.
Okay, yes. So I'm in Spreaker, you're over in Facebook.
Yes.
Okay.
And those are the two. If we have other chat rooms, we apologize. Come jump on one of these other ones.
We don't. I hope.
We don't. Okay, good. Yeah, unless... No, because we don't have Revolution Radio tonight. Okay, so... All right, remember how we were getting into the have aliens prevented nuclear war questions?
Yes.
And we were kind of going into 1947, and then you had some events in Vietnam, and she'd confirmed that aliens had gotten involved in order to change the outcome. So even though it looked like a bad thing, it wasn't as bad as how it could have been.
Okay.
And we started to touch on the nuclear problem, and we ended up going into the future, and she was basically saying that the aliens are not as concerned about us becoming involved in a nuclear war anymore, that we've consciously moved beyond that. But I was really curious about Korea, and I had wanted to ask her about whether MacArthur had tried to move a nuclear bomb to Korea in 1950, 1951, because there was a plane that crashed that supposedly, and this might just be a conspiracy theory, had a nuclear bomb destined for Korea, and it crashed in California, either San Diego or somewhere, and its payload never got to Korea. So my question for Rob next time would be, did aliens prevent nuclear bombs from being either deployed during the Korean War or from even getting to Korea? Did they intervene there?
This silence is me writing this down.
Yes, it's silence. He's being very silent. Now, this is all personal for me because my wacky story is that, my past lifetime, which I remember a lot of, I was a navigator and a bomber in both World War II and Korea, and I ended up getting shot down and then going missing in action and then finally killed in action in Korea. So, and I really feel that the reason I'm here, even at Spaced Out Radio and having all of the alien experience I had in this lifetime, was because that person that I was fantastically curious about what the Foo Fighters were, what the aliens were, and he had seen things. And so he wanted to figure it out. And unfortunately, he got killed in war before he had a chance to really look into it. So. Good.
So I've got my first question here. Did the aliens prevent a nuke from being sent over to Korea? Interesting. Yes. Now, before we get into a few of these, I'm going to, just for somebody who hasn't didn't hear the show, it's you can find it in the archives on iTunes, on YouTube. It's October 29th. You can find it on Spreaker. Just click on episodes, go down to it, and don't listen to it now. It's 3 hours long, for goodness sakes, because I'm talking to you. Don't make me pull this car over. Some of the things, we talked for 3 hours. Some of the highlights I'm going to go through. Bigfoot. We're going to start at Bigfoot. Bigfoot does exist. Bigfoot has Bigfoots. It does exist. Now, it is not terrestrial. It is not a Earth being. It is brought here by a alien race who are helping it breed with some animals, obviously big mammals, and unfortunately at the time we just guessed a bear, but we never drilled down into that, which is one of our other follow-up questions. The Bigfoot come down here. They're actually called Ekkos. They're a species or a race called Ekko. Ekko. Now, the Ekko come here because they need a piece of DNA, which they're trying to get from breeding animals here, that allows them to advance and to evolve to environments which they don't have where they come from. So that's the reason that they're here. Obviously, they've been coming here for a long time. We'll see how that works out. That is why she said, or Rob says, or when we were talking, I said, well, or I guess it was Rob who put forward, that's why you don't find the remains or you don't find children. That these are actually, and these beings, the Ekko, the form that they're in on Earth is only for our planet. When they go back to their planet, they change into what they really are, which is a mantis. So, a big bug. And I know mantis beings because Dave Scott used to talk to him about the one that showed up in his bathroom one day. Probably steamed up the mirror, something fierce. But these mantis beings... Okay.
Hand up. I have a question. I have a question to put in the book, since I only have an astro book, and I'm assuming that you have a book.
Hold on.
So when Keith... yes, Gloria Vega Roberts, his question is, who do they mate with? That's
one of the questions.
But I have another question about mantis beings.
Mm-hmm.
So this goes in another side column, because Keith Andrews on last Friday said that mantis beings are big, nasty dudes, and that's not been my experience of mantis beings. So I'm like, which mantis beings? They haven't been nasty to me. Why are you saying they're so mean? So
again,
I want to ask Rob about mantis beings.
We're going to ask him about the mantis. We're going to dig down a little bit more into the mantis beings. And this is what I mean about doing research. If you ask, like, we'll get into this in a couple of minutes when Rob talked about reptilians. People said, oh my God, reptilians, they're ugly and they're horrid and they're evil. Well, he said, no, they're not. They're just, no. So there are obviously different types of reptilians. Because I know Galen Chauncey, one of our spaced out radio buddies here, she has seen she didn't use the term reptilian. She said it was a lizard about 4 feet tall, standing beside her, wearing a tool belt. Came down in kind of his light. And Galen, if you know Galen, she sees these things. Bless her. Bless her that she sees them and I don't. And then when they made eye contact, this thing kind of looked at her, got kind of like shoulders dropped and went, oh crap, stepped back into the beam and off it went. She described it as a 4 foot tall lizard with a tool belt. So, is that a reptilian? Are humans? Some people say humans are reptilians because of the spine. It's like the length of a snake. Well, honestly, it's like a dog spine. So are we dogs?
Yeah.
Or it's like, we'll get into it again. That drills down to an individual's experience or an individual's product of a sum of interviews that they've done. I'm hoping we're getting it right from the astral horse's mouth here. And this is why tonight we want to get some of these really kind of pinpoint questions. And again, Joanna's going to be coming on. She's not going to be coming on to Mediums in a Large twice a month. She's only going to do that once a month. But I think she is thinking about coming back on and doing this once a month, which is answering these questions for us, because it's like what she's supposed to be doing now as she's kind of ascending into this next level of communication with the other side, and this other side being an alien. So this is what we're drilling down today, and in a couple of weeks we're going to have Joanna back, and she's going to sit down and we're going to shine the big light on top of Rob and say, okay, buddy, tell us about mantis. So one of the things I want to ask, and while we're on this subject, Elizabeth, is there are people out there who have seen or say they've seen families of Bigfoot. So male, female, and kids. So that is a question that I'm going to put to Rob. Do the whole family come out on the breeding exercise? Is just like, dad's coming down here and mom's coming down here. Let's all go down. We'll get like the little mouse ears and cotton candy and make a week of it.
So Gail Hudson Shirk is asking the same question. And she quotes, Eddie Bilheimer, Cato's experience. And I haven't seen, but my feeling has been, and what I've been told is that they're family groups. Well, if they're here to breed, where would, you're going to breed for family, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to have family somewhere. So, how does that work? Saying that there aren't family doesn't make sense if they're here to breed, because you're creating, young'uns if you're breeding, or other'uns. So, we got to ask that one.
Yeah, so that's a clarification. If they are mantis, are they having mammal-type children, or are they laying eggs? And, I'm looking at it with such a human eye. you think insects will lay eggs and mammals will have, suckling, and it's like, of course, what really happens is most likely way beyond anybody's imagination. So I'm just going to go through the Bigfoot questions. Are the family, and it kind of spins off into the mantis backgrounds. Bigfoot, what does it breed with? Does it breed with? And how long has this been going on? When did these things first come down here?
Yeah, we could sing the song. How long has this been going on? Okay. Sorry, people.
Yeah.
How long? It's got to be a long time, because we didn't get into that. How long?
No, and that was my plan. My plan was hit these points and then analyze it and dig down into some more questions here.
Okay, so we have a question from Joe Algeyer in the chat room. So, has Bigfoot ever killed a human? And this is a question for Rob next time.
Okay. Has Bigfoot killed? And that goes with a question that I haven't said out loud here, but is basically, have we ever captured or killed one as humans?
Yes. And then Gail Hudson Shirk says, clarification, Bigfoot is a mantis wearing a fur coat?
Yes. No. It's
No.
basically, if you guys listen to Jeannie Borgen's interview, who, again, I've got tons of time for. She worked for the federal government, the U.S., as a secret spy until some religious person found out that they were using these psychics to do things, the devil's work, and, worked with police finding serial killers and things, but she was visited by a guy she thought was a client who actually was a alien being, and he cut into his arm and pulled it all apart to show her that basically it's like cutting into a doll's arm. It's just not the hollow kind, like the Barbie doll arm, where it's just like a solid mass inside, and he just rubbed his hand over it and it was all fixed, because this alien, this being who doesn't have a real body, is just energy, can manufacture out of energy a human body that is not bad to look at and not scary, so he could have conversations. So with that in mind, is it out of the realm of, well, it is in the realm of science fiction, where a big hairy mammal can turn into a mantis type being, because it's something that I don't understand, and until somebody can prove to me that an alien race can't do it, I got to put it in the possible column. So yeah, it sounds odd, but until somebody says a shapeshifter can't shift his shape, what the heck? And if you had to come down here and mate with, for example, a big bear, a stinky bear, you'd want to be bigger than the bear, and you'd want to be stinky and hairy, which I think was a law firm.
Yeah, stinky and hairy, and Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. So I need to ask questions before they scroll off my screen. Here,
Yep.
I've got several. You ready?
Ready.
Okay. Does Bigfoot follow people? And I guess that's from Joni, and I think she means, does Bigfoot follow people through the woods versus follow people on Facebook? And then Joe has another question. Do the Bigfoot Mantua people kidnap humans? And Joni kind of getting the point that if it's an alien mantis, when did Bigfoot originally come here? So getting back to the timeline, when did they show up?
Now, one of the things that we'll clarify, but it was touched on briefly in our conversation with Joanna and Rob, was there's overseers when they're here. The overseers. Now, Elizabeth, can you kind of correct me here? Were they the overseers of the Bigfoot on their breeding expedition, were they the travelers?
Well, yeah, the travelers have something to do with the Earth as the way I look at it, and he kind of confirmed, the travelers, which can be considered like I consider them like the Zayton Greys. I don't know if Rob actually said that, and maybe we want a clarification. Are they the Zayton Greys? The travelers that don't really have a planet, that do some abducting of people, oversee this planet as like a seed bank, as a DNA repository. This is where you can get good, evolutionary, adaptable genetics, genes that will adapt.
Yeah.
And this has been, since 1990 when I started going under regression. This came up in my very first regression with Dr. Mack, was we are here for adaptable genetics. We are here for the evolution of the soul in the physical body, but you need to have good physical bodies to have that evolution of the soul. Now that's from me, but we want to clarify that with Rob, I think, too. So I think the clarification is, yes, the Watchers have something to do with it, but what is it that they have to do with it? Do they bring them here? Do they take them back? Do they go through a portal?
It sounded like they were brought here and then they would take them back.
Yes.
Which made sense for when people, in areas where there's a lot of UFO activity, is also in areas where Sasquatch has been seen, or Bigfoot. Pacific Northwest, out in the areas out in the middle of nowhere.
Like where I was, and they were doing their, doing their landing parties were coming in, teaching the young pilots how to land, and But there's a lot of Bigfoot.
So there is that connection of, we see Bigfoot, or we get Bigfoot reports from areas. We often also get UFO reports. So I right now have a page for our Bigfoot, which is good.
I've got two more questions, though.
Yes, go ahead.
You ready?
Yeah.
So Gail asked, could Bigfoot be a slave race to another species like the Travelers? I think we asked that, but I don't remember. Could Bigfoot be a slave race? I think we asked it, and she said, no, the mantids are actually very advanced, but we'll ask it again, Gail. And then Joe asked, for people who have Bigfoot gifting sites, what's the best thing to give a Bigfoot? What do they like?
Okay.
So
big shoes.
He wants to.
Lots of big shoes.
Bigfoot, big shoes. He wants to up his gifting.
Don't get them tall hats, because they'll sit in front of you in the movie and screw you right up. So I've got that down, Joe. Thanks.
Christopher's still waiting on
Christopher.
on Skype.
Christopher, what? Yeah. Do you have a Bigfoot one? You can unmute your mic.
Oh, yes, I do. Sorry. I couldn't click it fast enough. I was on FB answering Liz's post.
Do you have a question or comment on the Bigfoot, what you'd think or what you'd like to ask if you had a chance?
Well, I think I agree with both of you. He is a shapeshifter, but beyond that, he's also a dimensional being and is an ET. He's all three.
So, sorry, did you want to confirm? Yeah, this basically we're just confirming that, right?
Yes, I've seen. He's a lot like an alien. There's one movie I watched where the aliens can actually be like other species, including their blood and skin and everything.
Well, if it's a movie, it's got to be real, right?
No, but I think it's probably possible. Plausible.
Yeah. Okay, we got some more to get into. We're going to come back here and harass Christopher in a little bit. If that is the last bit, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. We have 14 clarification Bigfoot questions, and I'm going to put them on.
Okay, one more.
Yep.
Did we ask if Bigfoot will know if a game camera is
No, we didn't do
around? Well, let's ask. Yep. And then, Joni, we're asking, and so Joni has a question. Can you tell me who my guides are? We're asking questions for Rob about, for when Joanna comes back on to ask Rob about paranormal stuff right now.
Yeah.
So we're not doing readings right now.
No.
We're clarifying our questions for Rob so that we can really get to the heart of the
squash.
We're mining Rob, the alien guide.
I have a number of audio clips that were taken in. If you go to the spaceoutradio.com, they're on the Spaced Out Radio clip. Now, gosh darn it, I can't remember who got them. This fellow out of California, and he recorded them. He and his buddies would go out to this hunting area, and they encountered all these big fuzzy hairy things, and they recorded them talking. So what I'm going to do when I bring Joanna, I'm going to play them to see if Rob could translate them for us.
Oh, cool.
So that would be, exactly. That would be kind of cool if he could tell us what they're saying. So that's my other part of my Bigfoot side of things. Now, we went from Bigfoot, we bounced around a few minor things, and went to Dogman. Now, Dogman, I want to tell you, this one gets people twisted. I don't know what it is about Dogman, but maybe it's because we like dogs. Dogman. I asked Joanna to ask Rob what Dogman was and if it was real. Or was it a bear with mange? With, frankly, I was thinking it was a bear with mange. Well, he says Dogman was a kind of he didn't want to say experiment. He tried to keep away from experiment. It was an alien created being. There's thousands of them in North America and across Northern Europe into like Russia. They live to 27 years old. That's their maximum longevity. They are not harmful to humans, and they cannot breed. But what he also said, he says this happened in the early to mid-90s. So what I need to clarify is his timeline. And as you know, there's a bunch of people out there saying, well, Dogman attacked and killed my cat or something, or chased my sister up a tree. And they go back into the 80s where these quote-unquote dogmen were being seen. So there are a number of outstanding questions. So my question is to clarify the timeline. And do we have any other questions in regards to Dogman? Again, his explanation of Dogman was a alien created being that just didn't work out. It lives to 27 years old, not harmful to man, cannot breed, and there's thousands of them, and early to mid-90s. So if there's anybody else want to jump in with a clarifying question?
Yeah, so Gloria, I think we answered it, but she asked, do they have male and female in the species? So are they gender? Are they gender?
I was going to say they might be gender neutral.
Yeah, and so we're wanting to know if there's gender, and she said that they don't mate, that they're not able to mate. And then Gail asked, Rob said that they're not able to mate, so that doesn't matter. But we never figured out about the gender, so re-ask if we didn't ask about, are they male and female, are they gender neutral? And then Gail asks, could Dogman be something like the purported Montauk monster?
Montauk. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm just writing that down, Montauk. And I'm sure if I asked Rob what the Montauk, he knew what Mothman was about, which was basically just an apparition. It wasn't like a man that was a moth, but just an apparition. But the Montauk monster, he'd know what that is too.
Yeah, we didn't ask about Montauk, but Mothman was an apparition. Okay, Gloria said, sorry, did they have male and female as species? That was a Bigfoot question. Do the females give birth, or do the males give birth, or do both? I don't remember if we asked about that.
I have a vague recollection of them being asexual, but that is going to be clarified in the list of questions we have already. It'll make it, without coming out and asking that question, it'll be presented in an answer to the other ones that then we can clarify. Now, I've got to explain this to you guys. I take these kind of questions for granted a lot because I've been doing them for a long time. But what happens is I'll ask a question. It's like a paranormal investigation. I'll ask one question, and it could have 3 or 4 answers. And I have a follow-up question already planned that will cover those 3 or 4 answers. And then a third question planned already in my head that will cover the answers for that second question. And it's just something that I can do right off the cuff. I can do it. So that's why it sounds funny. I'll ask one question, and people are going to like, why is he asking that? Then I'll ask the second one, and on the third one, it'll all make sense. And the reason I do the 3 questions like that, it basically reaffirms the truthfulness or the pureness of the answer. We use a thing called a pure version statement, which is it's a whole policing questioning kind of thing. But it's you want the pure answers, and if you can plan the questions, the 3 questions, the pure answer will come. It's very seldom to get a pure answer in the first or second question. It's always the third and even the fourth. So when we are asking the questions, it's, there's 3 questions we ask. Don't get mad at the first and the second one when I'm asking them, because the third one will nail everything down. So I do apologize. It's just the way I do it. And I almost can't get out of it. My kids drives them nuts. But boy, do they tell me the truth. The ones that lived anyway. So Montauk Monster.
Okay, so we have more questions. We have more questions for you.
Go ahead.
Okay, Joe asks, are humans an experiment just like Dogman?
Mm-hmm.
And Michael McNeil asks, why are Bigfoot nocturnal?
Well, because they sleep during the day.
Yeah,
that's why they're nocturnal. Okay.
All the better to avoid us with. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going back to my Bigfoot page. Hold on. Why nocturnal? Okay. Thank you, sir. And back over to Dogman. We've got are humans an experiment? That one I'll put a big star beside it because it'll come up because of the... And I also want to know what a non-experiment is too when he talks about Dogman. It's it's kind of odd. What are they talking about, a non-experiment? Well, it's not. It's an experiment, but it went bad. Well, not really an experiment. Well, what the hell was it? And Trippin was actually asking too, are the Dogmen all male or are they all female? But yeah, we're going to narrow it down and try to get a date for you. Oh, I mean, sorry.
Give me a date, would you?
Teresa wants to know, does Bigfoot know Dogman? You know what? It's a good question. Someone has a question. Let's get an answer for it.
Yeah.
And guys, if you think your question is crazy, it's only because I laugh at you when you first ask it, but I'm writing it down. No, it's like there's no stupid questions. Just alien answers.
Okay, another question from Joe. If Dogman was a failed experiment, what were they trying to create?
Again, we have to define what that was they were doing, because Rob was telling us it's not really an experiment, but that was my topic. That's the question on the top. What was it the aliens were doing on Earth with this being, and why did they drop it off here? Or if they dropped it, how did they drop thousands of them off here, and why? Just to drive us crazy. Now, the other thing too is, again, the number of questions that I have with Dogman are reports of it being violent, chasing somebody across the street and growling and red eyes and attacking cars and things like that, where Rob said that they're not. They're not harmful to man. Mind you, bears aren't harmful to man unless you come charging up in a bear's berry patch. So what? That could be a bit of an issue. So
baby bears.
Yeah. If anyone else got a question out there and aren't in the chat rooms, you give us a call at 575-694-6634. Again, 575-694-6634, or via Skype, James_Tyson32. And jump in with any kind of question. These questions aren't out of left field, because good Lord, look what we're doing. We all take a step back and go, holy cow, we got somebody, we have an alien being we can actually talk to about stuff. What could I ask him? That's exactly what we're doing. What are the questions you would like to ask someone who knows everything? But with a caveat, we cannot get into the conspiracy theories and the governments, because Joanna's been told it's not going to be good for her to get into those things. And we know, people who listen to this show know, that there's a lot of money to be made by someone writing a book about a conspiracy and having a following and flying around the world doing conferences on why X couldn't have happened without, it's a big government cover-up and blah, blah, blah. So Joanna, we're staying away from that stuff. The closest we got was on the JFK assassination. We're going to get to that in a few minutes. So as far as Dogman goes, I think we're going to beat Dogman with a Dogman stick here too. That should be a good conversation on Dogman.
Okay, so I have a question about aliens. We didn't ask her about the 1952 UFO flap, the Flatwoods Monster, which is a really bizarre-looking UFO and/or spaceship that smelled like sulfur and put out the smoke, and the dog was killed when he went into the kind of smoky stuff, and it looked like a bell, like an alien in a bell-shaped craft, but it was metal, and some people got sick. So I want to ask about the aliens that were involved in the Flatwoods Monster episode. Because I don't think they were travelers. Yep.
This
Flatwoods Monster. Yep.
And that was in the 50s?
It was 1952. They had multiple alien bogies go over Washington, D.C., and they were chased by the U.S. military, and they ended up in Flatwoods, West Virginia. And one of them came down, but there was more than one that came down. But the one that was most famous one does not look like any alien I've ever seen, and it was some combination, either an alien in an exoskeleton or an alien in a craft. But the craft gave off this noxious gas, and it killed and this whole neighborhood of people went up to see this craft, and the dog ran into the gas and the dog died. And, and there were kids and there were people, and they were all freaked out and they all saw the same thing. And this was with policemen doing the police questioning that you're doing.
Yeah.
They went through the entire thing. So it's Frank Frascino has done a great job of researching this, but I want to know who those aliens were that were witnessed at Flatwoods and who was involved in the 1952 UFO flap that ended up with that ship coming down, because there were U.S. military were after them. Okay,
so how did the ship go down, too?
Was it shot down, or was it just, it had a mechanical problem and in and among all the others? But there were multiple sightings, and they think more than one ship went down, because on one side of the hill was Flatwoods, where they saw what they call the Flatwoods monster, which is this looks like some sort of alien like I've never seen, but in an exoskeleton or a craft, because it did hover and move. And then on the other side of this mountain, there was a whole battalion of U.S. government troops and National Guard in West Virginia, in Podunk, West Virginia.
Hold on. And National Guard?
Well, I think it was either Army, Air Force, or whatever there was in 1952 that could be called out and get there quickly.
Yeah, the National Guard would take a long time.
Yeah.
When you call out the National Guard, the guy's got to leave work, and yeah, it's like the volunteer fire department, but coming from 100 miles. It's so it probably.
You can look at questions from Frank Fascino's website. Like we should. What I'll do is Frank F-E-S-C-H-I-N-O, Frank Fascino, has a website about the Flatwoods Monster, and that's where you want to look. It's long. It's like a long blog, but it's got everything on there.
Well, do you know Frank?
Yeah, I interviewed him.
Why don't you phone him and tell him what's going on, and see if he's get a handful of questions from him?
Oh, sure. Okay, that's a good idea. Yeah. When's she going to be on next?
We're looking at either the end of this month or early into December, before Christmas, anyway.
Okay. So I have time to call him. Yeah. Yeah,
and I'll bug you tomorrow. No. So I want to get into the reptilians. I asked Rob about these reptilians, and I said, are they in government? And he said, first of all, they don't like being called reptilians. And that came out quite a bit during our conversation about reptilians, because I kept saying reptilian. Joanna kept saying he really doesn't like that word. So now I'm thinking, okay, is he one of these things? Because it's obviously hurting his feelings. But that's where we got the word Cyun. Cyun, C-Y-U-N. That's their race, the Cyun. And he said that the government does know they exist. None of them work with government, and they don't look like lizards. It's a misnomer. Now, listen, I know where you're going with this, but this is what he said. Now you can go, because you have seen beings that look like big lizards.
Well, actually, no. I talked to R. Keith Andrews, and I asked him, because I've seen a cow-headed lizard, standing on two legs, cow-headed lizard man with winged snakes, and he said, "Oh, Brahmin and Quaddle. Yeah, that's a Brahmin, and they're like the Minotaurs, and then the Quaddle are the winged snakes." So I saw them in conjunction with each other. I had to go pick up a human being that was with a Brahmin and some Quaddle, and it was really scary because I was afraid of the Brahmin, which is like the Minotaur. And then our Keith Anders did say, yeah, they're really, kind of scary. It was like, yeah, they were, but you could tell there was a reptilianness to the hands and the eyes, and and winged snakes are reptiles because they've got wings and they're snakes. So, there's more to it.
There's snakes that fly.
Yeah.
I don't want to see those. How do they land?
Exactly.
How do they land?
Well, the way they were is it was weird because it was like the caduceus. They were not. It was only the bottom part was on the ground, and they were hovering. Their heads were hovering up as high as the Brahmin. The Brahmin was a good 6.5, 7 feet tall, really big being, and the winged snakes would keep their heads up on the level with the Brahmin on either side. So, but a friend of mine had his cat presence winged snakes coming out of the electrical outlets. His cat kept attacking the electrical cord for his voicemail back when we used to do it on tape. His cat kept attacking that cord, and he kept unplugging it. And then one night when my friend was home, who was an experiencer in John Mack's group, the cat pulled the cord out and then went to the center of the room and started leaping into the air at nothing. And then it leapt a few times, and then the last time it leapt as high as it could. And as soon as it got into midair and it touched something, it presenced this winged snake that was, the rest of its body was coming out of the electrical outlet. Is that weird or what?
Yeah, it's right up there on the what have you been drinking scale.
Well, this is 1990. We didn't have our Keith Andrews, so we didn't know, oh, it's a quaddle coming out of the electrical cord, It's like, but somehow using plasma to travel, being multidimensional using plasma, we don't know, because this is 1991, 92.
So your responsibility now, Elizabeth, your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to get a list of names of those things. The quaddle and the Brahmin and the Minotaur and Medusa, Kevin, whatever else.
So talk to...
We kind of go through a list of... Yeah, we'll get a list of things that go bump in the night from the from those cool movies back in the 60s with all the weird animation. But... there is a lot of cool stuff that we failed to bring up to Rob that we will ensure this time. But the reptilian, I know there's people out there who have seen bad reptilians, and they say that, people in the Russian government, if you watch the video backwards, it says John is dead. No, that's not right. If you watch the video on Putin, every so often his eyes turn to like reptilian or something. Well, let's drill down
Queen
into
Elizabeth
some of that
too.
stuff. Queen Elizabeth, my queen?
Yeah, David Icke thinks that she's a baby-eating reptilian Satanist. Okay, we have some other questions I want you to write down. Are you ready?
Yes.
From the chat room. Joe Algeyer asked where Atlantis was located and will we ever find it? Where is it located? Will we ever find it? First of all, was there an Atlantis? Where is it located? Will we ever find it?
Philadelphia.
Yes. Gloria is asking, can an abduction be stopped if the abductee calls on the name of God or simply asks not to be taken? In my experience, no, it's more complicated than that, but we'll ask Rob.
Yeah. Okay, so
and
abduction... Abduction. Okay, carry on.
Calls on the name of God or simply asks not to be taken. And then Joe asks again. No, he doesn't ask. He tells. He's telling. So never mind. We don't care what you're telling us, Joe. Joni has an interesting one. Are any of the past, present presidents or world leaders aliens?
Yeah, we did touch on that, and they weren't. But we'll clarify that again. We'll actually, because the question was answered in such a general way. Has there ever been aliens working in the government? No. Are there aliens working in the government now? No. Yeah. But what's an alien? it's somebody's family who they go back in their family tree, and it kind of started 300 years ago in Northern Ireland, and that's where they think they're from, but their family was dropped off by a spaceship in Northern Ireland, and that's, would that be an ET? They've been around for 200 years, but some of us have been around for 30,000. Some of us even longer. So what's an ET? So we'll have to clarify those things.
Next one. Who built the Sphinx? Who built the pyramids?
Oh, crap. Those are ones I had on my first list, but I never got to.
Yeah. Next one. Were the ancient Greek gods like Zeus aliens? What about the Norse gods like Odin?
Yeah, I think we went through... There was so many gods, so many lords, but only one... what do you call it?
The only one.
It was the one. It was called the one, or this.
Yeah, like they have
creator,
an idea
the one.
Of the creator. Yeah. That's just like the one thing that everything is based on, that runs through everything. Like they really do have that idea, and I've experienced having conversations about that God, and they'll use our terminology. They'll say God if you're saying God, but it really is deeper than that. It's about the creator, and they reference it, and they understand it, but it's like an all pervasive, incredible beingness, incredible beingness.
Pervasive?
Yeah, and he did mention that.
Yeah, he actually said there was the one, but there were many gods and many lords. So, again, digging down into that question, are the many gods, does that mean there's a god for every 10 galaxies with a number of lords underneath him, and they all report to the one, like Microsoft kind of thing? One big business plan? Yeah.
And what about Zeus then? And what about the Norse gods? And Gail asked, are reptilians one basic species with various physical features? I don't think that's the case, but we'll ask.
Yeah, that's actually, I have that one down for the reptilians because, like I say, people have seen them as things inside of other. I'm sure. Let me clarify this. I have heard people's reports or read the reports that I saw a lizard person or a reptilian doing this, or this reptilian threatened to hurt me, and according to Rob, reptilians are non-aggressive and actually very, very advanced. But that we'll see exactly how that goes. I gotta throw a commercial on because I'm 2 minutes late.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, while we're on the commercial that I'm late for, it's 7 minutes long. I want you to dig down. I want you to find a question that if you had to ask a question, one of these cryptid questions, not getting conspiratorial, not getting overly biblical, but that's, if you want to open that can of worms, it's up to you. But you're going to have to live with the answer. So be careful what you ask for. But think about those. If you want to go to Facebook, go to the just put in the search SOR Space Travelers and join the talk in there, and I'll go in and accept any of the new people because it's a closed group. Or follow us on Spreaker, and if you go to the Spaced Out Radio show on Spreaker, we have a chat room going in there with a number of people on it right now. Or you can, like I say, give us a call at 575-694-6634, 575-694-6634. You got 7 minutes. So your 7-minute stretch.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I would like to invite you to listen Monday through Friday right here on Spaced Out Radio. 3 hours a night of the top stories with the top guests, ranging topics from UFOs to ETs, ghosts to Sasquatch, and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on two mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. Two mediums and a large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for news beyond the mainstream news? Head to spacedoutradio.com and check out the SOR Spacewire. This is Spaced Out Radio's Eric Markham, News Director for the SOR Spacewire. Daily, I will bring you intriguing stories and outlandish reports from what's going on around the world. UFO sightings, paranormal activity, conspiracies, alternative health, and so much more. And if you have news, email me at news@spacedoutradio.com.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners. For only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where two members of our team will be available to answer your questions. We'll give you some equipment updates and some of our experiences on the road, right here on Spaced Out Radio.
For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month, where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Hey everybody, this is Patrick Webster Small, and I'm here to bring you the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night, live at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. If you're looking for aliens and extraterrestrials, well, we've got them. Big and tall, short and small. You're bound to find what you're looking for. So join me on the Webster Phenomena right here on Space Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there, this is Jolene with Reveal Reiki and Readings, and I want you to relax. Let me help you chill out and get in touch with your body, mind, and soul. In this busy world, sometimes we need to let go, and this is where I can help. Visit my website, rivuletrndr.wix.com/rivuletrndr, or my Facebook page, Rivulet R&R, to set up an appointment for relaxation, Reiki, or readings, no matter where you are. It's time for you to make time for you.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Every month on Spaced Out Radio, we look into the deep and dark reports of cryptids roaming around the world with me, Rob Morphy from Cryptopia.us. I would love it if you would join me and host Dave Scott as we delve into the most arcane stories and reports regarding creatures of the unknown. My job is to hunt down the details and bring the evidence forward to you. These aren't your regular Bigfoot stories I'm talking about either. You can find out more about crypto history at spacedoutradio.com.
Tonight's edition of Spaced Out Weekend is brought to you by spacedoutradio.com, where you can now sign up to become a Space Traveler member. Now, for the final time tonight, here's Spaced Out Weekend's James Tyson.
Welcome back, everybody. We are in our final hour here, and actually our final 50 minutes, because I let the commercial hang too long. Again, I'd like to thank our new affiliate, the United Public Radio Network on 107.5 FM in New Orleans, and their listeners from over 160 countries around this little ball of dirt we live on that circles a very large, hot sun. And I, again, want to thank Elizabeth Anglin, who from Cosmic Passport, for hanging around and helping me with the chat rooms and firing some questions off there. Elizabeth, you said there was another question?
Oh yeah, we have a bunch. Okay, you ready? You're gonna get a hand cramp.
Well, you know what? If they're written in the Facebook side, I can always go back in there and look later. At least, but this is my good. You know, I'm still scratching down and trying to drill down into it. So thank you.
Well, they're interesting.
Yeah.
They're interesting. So, Joni asked, what is the name of the tall, slender, white beings or gray beings? I think she means the tall, slender whites that you see with grays. And Joni, if you want to clarify, you can. And then also, then she asked, what is the Bermuda Triangle really?
Okay, I'm still in grays.
We didn't.
You know, with the Bermuda Triangle question, I'm going to throw in the missing flight. Was that Flight 76 or something, or it's that all the military flights, all those World War II planes that went missing over the Bermuda Triangle. I have a theory of what happened, but you know, that's...
Well, Christopher Columbus also saw odd lights over the water, you know, so even back when he, you know, went through there, they had a sighting that was in his ship's log. So, you could go way to the way back.
Yeah, that was just all the souls of the Indians he was about to kill. Stupid.
Oh, that's not funny, but it's funny.
Yeah. Alrighty. That's not funny, but it's funny.
Question,
Nazi,
are we a rejected alien race? One last thing.
Okay. Are we what?
Are we an alien race that was left here? Like, were we rejects? And I think we had that answered before, because we're not.
I'm going to... I have that on my list of to-dos to ask, but because it could be a little bit sensitive, I'm going to ask Joanna privately, and if it works out, I'll ask it on air. Because of the breakdown of the races, why are certain races on certain parts of the earth? And if if Rob comes out and saying, oh, because all the Irish are this, or all the English, the English were the Mongol race of the universe, and they were dropped in this little island, and
No, it's all melatonin.
It's
DNA-wise, we're almost... It's just melatonin. If you're in Africa and it's really hot and you're by the equator, it's
anyway.
We're
So,
not really any different people. We just have different skin color.
And bone structure of the skull.
Well, yeah, but that's from, that happens everywhere in Asia, and that happens. That's sort of a geographic thing. It's not a. There's not enough difference in the actual DNA to say that we're different.
No, but the bone structure in the skull can tell you what race.
No, that's a bunch of bull crap.
Mm-hmm.
No, well, here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. The bone structure in the skull, there was a guy back at Harvard. What's
Dave.
a bunch of bull crap is that there was a guy back at Harvard who was saying that you could tell how intelligent a person would be based on their skull structure.
Oh,
and then
that's
he was
totally
going
different
through
what I'm talking
and
about.
trying to prove that the white races were the intelligent ones because of the bone structure of their skulls. Well, okay, whatever.
But you can tell the difference if you had two skulls and one was Asian and one was First Nation. You could tell them apart.
Have you ever done that?
No, because I'd send skulls to the guy who does that. The forensic guy.
Is it from the forensic guy?
Yeah, that's how we identify remains. And I got real good stories about your thigh bone.
DNA markers?
To get DNA, it's expensive. So instead of crushing a tooth, they look at the skull. And they'll say, okay, this is a young male, whatever, not Italian, but Caucasian male, based on certain markers on the skull.
Huh.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's weird. I think it's just, but it's going to be phenotypical. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's the names that were really rude. It was back in the day. There was the mongrel, a negroid, and
mongoloid.
What was it? Mongoloid was Asian.
Yeah,
yeah, they were. Yeah. That was the Asian, the negroid, Caucasian, and the other one was the First Nations one, but I can't remember that term. I thought that was the Mongol one. Anyway, it was a long time ago that I had a skull. So I'm moving into... Oh, Chris is saying bad words there. Okay. Moving into the Nazi flying disc. Back in the day, we talked about the Vril Institute, and my girlfriend, who was a psychic... My girlfriend. I just have a crush on this dead lady. Back in the 30s. And she ended up... Always wanted to know what happened to her. Well, she ended up being a spy, according to Rob, and her body is in the bottom of a river in Yugoslavia. And what was interesting, we asked about the Nazi flying disc program and what happened to it. Well, Rob says none of the flying discs worked. The disc that they did recover, they couldn't get running, and they shut it down. The plans for the flying disc were eventually liberated by the Allies, who looked at them and said, well, that's bloody complicated. And obviously the Germans, who have all these smart scientists, couldn't get it to work, so they destroyed the plans. And that was it. There isn't a big base in South America, in the Antarctic, operated by the Nazis under the ice. It's really cool to think about, but it doesn't exist. But is there anything? Oh, and the flying discs that were seen in 1947 in the Pacific Northwest were not man-made, and they were not man-piloted. Those were strictly alien discs. Did I miss anything there?
No, I think you got that.
Okay. Is there any follow-up that we can drill down on that?
I think we did talk about the U.S. or in North America that there were some discs that were found. I don't think. Do we have more questions about that program?
No, there's a number of discs. Oh, we do have a question on Roswell, because the disc that went down on Roswell, one perished, a female perished, alien. One was taken and what he described is in observation right now. Now, I don't know what that meant. So what I'd like to do is amplify that expression that he said of observation. What does that mean? Is the being still alive? Is it stuffed and sitting in somebody's corner with their hat on it? Is it a prisoner? What does observation mean? Or is it living in Newark and is a cab driver and has to check in every so often? So that's the question I have for that. The Roswell incident did happen, according to Rob. One did perish, one was taken, and is, quote unquote, in observation right now. Roswell observation. And I think we talked about those. Those were the little gray ones, weren't they? The
little travelers. Or
the little travelers? Zetas? Yeah. Base was the South Pole base was not successful. That's what he meant. Okay, the South Pole base wasn't successful for the Nazis, but they did try. They did send U-boats down there, but it was a no-go. And when Admiral Byrd and his fleet showed up to check him out, there was nothing there. Even though Admiral Byrd did lose a couple of planes, but they were float planes. It's full of ice out there, so to lose a float plane out there, it's no big deal. No one died. Their plane sunk.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to go through all my questions here because I'm having to scroll real far because people are coming.
That was good.
Will Dave Scott continue to be abducted, and will he get answers from the aliens?
Okay.
That's a question.
From Dave?
No, from Joe. Will Dave Scott? It's almost like find out next time. Will Dave Scott continue to be abducted, and will he get
Dave
answers
Scott
from the aliens?
Yes. Tune in next week to Peabody and Sherman.
Joni asks, why are aliens secretive about their existence? I think we asked something like this, but I can't remember what the answer was.
Yeah, it's because we're stupid. And look, I'll give you a really good example.
And we'll get shocked.
Well, a really good example of why the aliens aren't going to show up and say, hi, I'm an alien and we live in your universe. Look what's happening over the U.S. election right now. Look what's happening where people have a perception of loss of control over something. And look what's happening in the Calais area of France. And all the refugees piled up on the English Channel wanting to get over to England. And now you're going to say, oh, by the way, we have a lot of aliens that are also wanting to come down here. Yeah, you're going to have people digging a really deep bunker. You think wearing a headscarf is a little risky in some parts of the U.S.? Walk around being gray. So, yeah, we are so we're at a point in our lives where it's getting close, and I think this is why. And this, we did talk about this. Joanna has been given an opportunity to relate information from an extraterrestrial. Not only Joanna's doing it, Skeeter Wellhouse, who was on our show in the last year, she has been getting information from extraterrestrials as a psychic. Jeannie Borgen, one of the top psychics in the world, she's getting opened up to extraterrestrials. I think they've got to a point where a lot of us have been comfortable that, we can talk to a dead relative. We can have them come through. There is life after death. We're getting comfortable with that. We got all these flippin' ghost shows on TV, which are actually giving us a little taste of, is it possible? We've got psychic shows. Is it possible that, that has been out there for 10 years almost now. We're taking that next step. It may take another 10 years for psychics to continue to relay information from ETs before there's a big enough percentage on Earth that is comfortable with it. All those disclosure people who run around and they have great conferences with 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000 people saying, we want disclosure. Well, if you think about it, disclosure wouldn't scare them. It'll scare the hell out of their neighbors. But for them, it won't scare them. And they're the ones making all the noise. But, honestly, we're just not ready for that. We're not, half the world's not ready for Syrian children to show up in their neighborhood. So, anyway, don't make me go there. Dave Scott, will he be continued? And will they finally keep him, for God's sakes?
Will they take Dave Scott to the planet of the gnomes? Will the aliens take Dave Scott to the planet of the gnomes?
Yes.
Leave him there.
And the aliens are minions. Those little minions.
Hello, Dave. Let's go. And I'll see you, Dave.
Okay. So will he continue? And then go with your next one.
Okay, Joe, again, what is the best way to remove false memories implanted by aliens? I think we might have a three-parter there.
Yeah, that's what. Can they put a false memory in?
Mm-hmm.
Once it's in there, how to get rid of it?
Mm-hmm.
And, okay, because we know why they do it. They would do it because you looked at the little blue thing, the light, when the Men in Black hold it up. No, they do it in the event of abduction. Have you ever had false memories, Elizabeth?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah.
And you remember those?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what they are is just screen memories of either the beginning or the end of an experience. Once you get into the experience, it is what it is. It's, especially a physical one, is very much what it is. But sometimes you'll dream about an experience that you have, and it'll come out as a false memory. And sometimes, your memory will be taken, and so you yourself will put something in there. Something happened, and so you kind of fill in the blanks yourself. So sometimes the implantation of false memories is just sort of sure, let's help you along to put something here so that you don't you don't notice that you missed time.
Yeah.
But it's complicated, the memory thing, because it's sometimes not what they do, it's what our mind does. One
of the things I want to talk about is I want to ask him about our implants. We have people who talk about having a physical implant, a device. And then we have some people talk about having an implant being a number of tones that you hear, and that tone is actually an implant. And that at a certain point will react. So, yeah, there's different types for different reasons.
What I was told about tones from myself, and this was way back when before I really got as psychic as I am, the tones would actually help reset your energy. So if you got low energy, or if I got low energy, I'm just going to speak for myself here. I don't know about other people. If I got low energy in the tone, and I heard the tones, it was kind of like an immediate energy reset to the physical and consciousness. And it was for my good. It wasn't a bad thing. It wasn't a control thing. It was, wow, you're getting to be really low energy and your immune system is getting down, and, we've got things that we need to be doing and you can't get sick. So the tones would start going. But that's just me. I don't know about other people.
And I wonder if the different races have different types of implants and reasons for putting them in.
And I think also, I think different races, but the travelers, I know the Greys do, and I know that sometimes it's based on the person, what gets in and why. What's the best? Okay, there are other questions here. So there's also about stopping abductions. What would be the best way to stop abductions?
Yeah.
I think.
Well,
and are gnomes real entities? Yes,
I didn't get into I wanted a list of the elementals too.
Yeah.
Like, what are the... Now, my understanding of elementals are they are looking after basically the elements. Fire, earth, water, air. They exist to kind of monitor that stuff. Is that what you get too?
Well, I missed that. I'm reading. What did you say? I'm sorry.
My understanding of what the elementals do or are is that they are kind of the canary in the coal mine. They're kind of looking after the elements: fire, earth, water, air. There's certain elementals that deal with those things and kind of keep tabs on how it works and everything's moving and working okay.
I just actually do more with like devas with flower spirits and plant spirits, but I guess elementals could be that. But I think it's just the consciousness of everything, that everything has, as you go through nonlinear time, everything has a progression of consciousness from the appearance of having very little consciousness to having very high and refined consciousness. And if your consciousness all happens now, so if you're perceiving consciousness just directly as a clear light thing, as a clear thing without any time, you're going to get elementals because they're an expression of the higher consciousness of fire, an expression of the higher consciousness of water. And they may be timeless in that. That's my thinking around that.
If you hear any weird noises in the background, outside the cabin here right now is a family of coyotes, and obviously one of them has knocked off one of the neighbor's cats and is howling at the moon. So calling the rest of the pack over, which should twist my dog off pretty quick here. And
and
see what happens.
The big moon,
yeah. So that's that screaming in the background. It's not my kids. I muffle them with duct tape. We also talked about Nessie, the Loch Ness monster. Joanna couldn't quite determine whether Nessie died in 1950 or died 50 years ago, but 50 was the key to this. That she did exist. She was the only one left and reproduced, as some reptiles will, without having a mate, and laid 2 eggs. One is non-fertile, but the other one is going to hatch in 43 years, I think they said. So now I'm thinking maybe it's a 100-year egg. She laid the eggs and died, and then 100 years later they hatch. And that's the cycle. But we're going to have to wait. Oh, I'll be dead then. So all you youngins out there, you will be exposed to Nessie again. And somebody's going to go shoot at it. Oh, no, it's in Scotland. Somebody's going to go yell at it in a drunken brogue. there's so that was kind of interesting, but you don't have any follow up with that, do you?
No, I don't think I do, because we kind of went into the cryptids, like the flying reptiles, and I mean, we could ask more questions about time travel and portals, which we didn't, because I think we were just so aghast that Nessie was like a real creature in real time.
I know, right?
We were like, wait,
hold
Nessie's
on.
not time traveling? Wait a minute. I thought she was a time traveler.
No, she was the last of the species that was there. And Trip and Fool in the chat room says, no, it was an elephant taking a swim. I'm sure there was the elephant taking a swim. In fact, that's documented.
Yeah.
But that doesn't explain the sightings in the 1600s and the 1700s and before they had elephants. So, well, in Scotland. Before the elephants were in Scotland, it was mastodon taking a swim back then. But so that was interesting. I was floored on that. And actually Joanna was too. She thought it was kind of cool. She's riding this. It's funny to talk to Joanna after. She's like, I'm going to have to go listen to that because I have no idea what was coming out. It was like, those are really cool. After that, we talked about the John F. Kennedy assassination. And this was me taking baby steps into a conspiracy and trying to slip it around Rob. And he bit. So it was kind of cool. The way that I set up the question was John F. Kennedy, or how many people were involved in John F. Kennedy's assassination? His answer was 3. My next question was, how many people shot him? 1. And then the third question that narrows down everything was the person who pulled the trigger and shot him arrested? The answer, no. And there's me getting ballsy, and I said something like, well, who was it? And that was it. Shut me down. Nope, not going there.
Yeah, not going there. Don't want to get into trouble.
Damn.
Yep.
But, and in fact, that wasn't even Joanna saying not going there. That was him saying, no, Joanna's not going. I'm not putting that information out. So that's, and it's funny because Joanna will usually tell me that stuff on the side and later. I totally forgot to ask her because I think I was still dumbfounded about all the other information that came out. So nothing, I'm going to try to think of some other questions around that. But like we say, he knows what's coming. As soon as I put my cunning plan into operation, he knows I'm putting my cunning plan into operation. So that'll be the end of conversations about that. But we did talk about alien beings interfering with some U.S. military forces in Vietnam, and how when the U.S. forces shot at them, the bullets came back at the U.S. forces, but they didn't come back full speed like killing. They were just like being thrown back about that speed. Unfortunately, when the Australian ships shot at the alien, the shell came back and ended up hitting the hull and sinking the ship. But that's a bit of a oops. So, and there was a number of U.S. aircraft, naval aircraft during the Vietnam War that encountered UFOs. So, and would chase them and shoot at them, and then finally they get called off. They weren't allowed to do that anymore because I think they lost a couple of planes. We have Joni Mitchell, which is a great name. Joni Mitchell, they paved parking lot and. What is the deciding factor for the aliens when choosing someone to abduct? That's a good question. I'm thinking probably economic background. No.
No, it's just you're hot. No,
You're
I'm not. No, it's not that.
No. Deciding factor.
Come with me in my spaceship. You're hot.
Yeah, you want to come up in my spaceship and see my etchings? Oh,
yes.
Deciding factor. Start singing or something while I'm writing. Quit answering Joni's. All these people are. Quit answering Joni's thing because it's scrolling up while I'm trying to copy it. Let's choose. Okay, I got it. Deciding factor in choosing. Yep.
Okay. And Joe's question is good too. Was there a high technological society of humans on Earth in the past that was wiped out? If so, what happened to them and when? Joe, I really am getting the sense here from my psychic third eye, which doesn't exist, that you want to know about Atlantis and Lemuria. I'm just saying. Or something like that. What would Rob call it? So.
Well, one of the things I'd be curious, now that he's asked that question, where Phoenix, Arizona was a huge civilization in that valley. Like thousands of years ago, was an absolute, like probably the size of San Francisco. Yeah. And
and you know what? The Chankillo towers that you put on the Cosmic Passport tonight, which had nothing to do about the subject, we should ask about those 13 towers.
Well, you're the one who said 13 towers.
I said 13 powers.
Oh, powers.
With 13 towers. But I'd never heard of the Chankillo towers, and it's a really interesting looking site. It's got like a spaceship landing size pad, fortressy thing.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. So we should ask about those. Just those towers, those 13 towers of Chankillo. Yeah. I was like, oh crap. I don't know anything about those.
Quick, I gotta research that. People have been listening, wanting to know about those. Because I've been telling you, you are the expert. Okay, kids.
I am the expert of nothing about those.
I am the expert of nothing. Bermuda Triangle. Okay, Bigfoot. JFK. Things like Slender Man. Those kind of guys. Slender Man. And now, okay, is everyone sitting down? Okay. I'm going to ask about demons.
No.
What are the beings that we refer to as demons? And
that's
he'll come back saying, "Oh, those are demons." What are the beings that we refer to? He doesn't even like us calling them aliens when we talk about the aliens, which I did get from another fellow who see, now my books. I moved all my books out of the way. And I tell you, if you want to join the SOR Space Travelers Club and put your name in for that draw that's once a month, it's going to be up to like 3 or 4 times a month, because I have a whack of stuff here that I'm, in fact, actually I'm going to give away one of those books. Stand by. Everyone just wait. Elizabeth, talk about something. I have to go grab a book.
Okay, so while he's grabbing a book, let's see. Who wants to ask a question about something? I'm in SOR Space Travelers. I'm sorry if you're on Spreaker. But, yeah. So, how about those Cubs? That was pretty cool, wasn't it? I hate it when he does this. This is the worst thing ever. So, Gloria Vega Roberts, we'll ask what devils are. Those damn devils. I see he's back. Yeah,
okay. So,
good.
Elizabeth, pick somebody out of one of the chat rooms. Just anyone. Quickly, just look down and pick one.
Well, Joni Mitchell.
Joni Mitchell. What you have done is you have, just for being you, and maybe she's gone home. Joni, if you're still here and haven't gone to bed. Okay.
She was about to go, but she can write, and she's not on chat anymore. But do you have an email?
I don't have anything for her, but I'll get a hold of her. Joni, I'm sending her a book called Here to Help, UFOs and the Space Brothers by Jared Artson. Message from space, life is one, so live as one or perish. And he refers... Oh, there's pictures in here and everything. Cool. I'm going to have to keep this when there's pictures. But what it is he's the one who says, yeah, you refer to them as space brothers. You don't refer to them as alien because they get choked about that stuff. And going back to... So anyway, that's a book that's going off to young Joni, and she's left. Look at that. Got 15 minutes left, and she's bailed, and we're giving her a book? Pfft. But anyway, guys, I tell you, I got books.
Yeah, and I don't care about you.
I got lots of books. So I may
Joe
end up giving these away. Yep.
Yeah, Joe actually is reminding me that there are questions that I didn't tell you about. He's not going to let me get away with it.
You hiding questions from me.
I'm hiding questions. You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Joe question. When will the aliens reveal their existence to the whole world?
Joe, I'm sending you a book too.
PM.
I'm sending Joe a book.
Yeah, send him the book.
I'm sending him a book on, it's called The Mojave Incident, where the couple were abducted. They went through a hypnotic regression, and at one point, an alien being channeled through the woman, and the scientists or the doctors at the hospital asked, when will you present yourself to humanity? And what was the answer? Was not in your life. No. Would you present yourself to us in our lifetime? Or in our lifetime? And the alien asked, "How long is your lifetime?" And the guy said, "About 70 years." And the alien repeated, "Well, not in your lifetime, but in your children's lifetime."
Right.
But hey, Joe, Joni's back. Joni and Joe, send me on Facebook. Just fire me off send me a message with your address, your mailing address in there, and we'll send you these books off tomorrow. And that'll be cool because you guys have been asking good questions. And Gail, I'll get to you eventually. You're asking questions too. I know. Demons.
Yeah. And then, one of the ones I forgot is there still a Vril society or a version of it? We kind of got to that, but not specifically, so that's a good drill down.
That's a good Vril. I believe there is, and you can actually go online and join them or join them, or whatever you do. It's if you look them up now, there's a guy that runs it, some old grumpy German. Oh, the other thing that was cool, Adolf Hitler.
Yes, he survived.
He survived. He died in Argentina. He committed suicide in Argentina. I guess he didn't want to get old and die, so he killed himself.
Yeah.
Or he was almost caught by the Mossad, which were all over that place. But that was interesting. That was kind of a right out of left field.
Yeah. And that was just easily answered. Just, he went, You know, the one you speak about is died in Argentina. Okay. Do we have more than one Roswell alien under observation? I think we want to change that because we know there's only one Roswell alien. But Gail, I think we'll change that too. Do we have more than one alien from one alien? Do we have more than the alien from Roswell under observation, like aliens from other places?
I think this is my gut on there, but we'll ask it anyway. But here's my gut on that. No. I think after Roswell, I think something kind of opened up. That's why we knew. It sounded like, by listening to, which was the astronaut who says before he was cut off, they're up on the ridge watching us. We're not alone.
Yeah.
To say that, to actually say that, you would have to had a pre-conversation with that whoever you're talking to about them. Because you wouldn't just say, oh yeah, they're up on the ridge watching us. No, you would say, holy shit, there's a whole bunch of stuff up on the ridge and they're looking right at us. That's how you'd react to that. Yeah. So if you had pre-information that there were other beings up there, that's why it was a matter of a fact. Like I said, a matter of factly, as opposed to the guy peed himself in his little suit. So, and yes, we did land on the moon. No, there are no bases on Mars presently that are occupied by any being. And the caveat to that was presently. So, yeah, that's one of my questions to drill down in. How long ago was the last base occupied up there? So, yeah, we hear people saying, well, like, I'm in the U.S. military, they've been flying us up to Mars for the last X amount of years, and this is where we work and whatever. How do they know they're not going to the moon? Like, really? What if you are actually going to the moon and they're just telling you you're going to Mars? Or when you leave, they kind of, here, look at this little thing, and there's a false memory for you. You've actually been in Burma for 10 years, or on the moon. And that way, if you do get a memory, it's going to be of Mars and not where the moon is. And Trip and Fool in the Spreaker chat room, alien bases on the dark side of the moon or our side of the moon. I believe they're on the dark side, but we'll double check on that question, because there's 3 bases there. And again, to drill down to that question, who occupies that base? Are they from a multinational, multi-space brother? We'll call it multinational. Is it a multinational group of aliens? And it just pictures Star Trek, a whole bunch of different species of beings working on a common goal. And that was something else I checked into. A friend of mine, Kathy Forty, who a psychologist who basically had huge contact with extraterrestrials. She designed a machine that'll basically fix you if you're broken. And she was taken to a spaceship off of Jupiter. And this spaceship was manning we'll call it the entrance to our solar system. And all spaceships coming into the solar system had to go past it. And that was manned by multi-species of space brothers or aliens. And their mission was to screen vehicles for intent coming into our solar system. If they came in with positive intent, they were allowed in. With negative intent, they weren't allowed in. And that was their job. And that was confirmed with Joanna, too. Oh, Paisley's here. No, Joanna's not here tonight. It's just me and Elizabeth talking about Joanna behind her back. It's
yes.
Yes. What we've been doing, everybody, and if you're the first time listener on Spaced Out Weekend, welcome. If you've come in through the United Public Radio Network at 107.5 FM in New Orleans, thank you for tuning in. It's our pleasure, and we will be posting in the next week or so where when Joanna's going to come on and we're going to put these questions to her. Parasite Milton is asking if all aliens are honest. Ask if aliens lie, which is a very important question because Rob, being an alien and a guide to Joanna, that is something that I was curious about too. If a guide steps forward. Now, I have spirit guides that are also space brothers, but they're supposed to be like family, like my family, space family. So They are my guides through this life. I don't know if they're beings that would lie. What do you think, Elizabeth? Are these higher beings in a position in their to be that high of a vibration, to be that high of a being? Would they in fact lie?
Well, it depends on the beings, and I think that's what Rob will end up saying. I'm going to place my bets on him saying it depends on the beings. What I have experienced from the little gray worker guys during abductions is that they won't outright lie so much as they will just answer your question in the affirmative, whether or not it's correct. So if you say, "Are you doing this because you want to ... They'll say, "Uh-huh." They'll give you whatever answer you want to hear.
Totally. I know. Yeah, there was a lady who owned a corner store up where I lived when I was a kid. Didn't speak English. She would just smile.
Yeah.
The store's on fire.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. and they do a lot of that because they don't want to spend time. They're so procedural, and they're involved in, they're trying to get you from point X to point Y to point Z, and so but no, none of the stuff that there was a body of information that did hold all the way through 27 regressions with different aliens, where nobody was really saying anything different. Now, the virtual reality thing is a virtual reality experience a lie, and there's a testing procedure that they do or a training procedure that they do that's a virtual reality. Like you go to a room and all of a sudden you're involved in a scenario or a situation with another abductee, other humans, and it's not real. It's all made up, and they're they do this for various different reasons to find out what your emotions will be, what your decisions will be, to teach you to overcome what happens at the end of the world. There were a lot of end of the world situations that were all lies, but that gets confusing because when you don't have full memory, you think that you're psychic and you're seeing what's going to happen at the end of the world. But no, it was a virtual reality. So is that a lie? If it's just a simulation, it's a very advanced lie as a simulation, if that's the case. Mm-hmm. But there's a purpose for it. So the question is, when is a lie worth telling, or when is a simulation worth doing? And depending on the alien, just those little white lies, like, so you're doing this because you want blah, 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 blah? Yeah. Oh, after you do this, I get to go home? Yeah. And not true. You go through another 45 minutes, an hour of stuff you don't like.
Yeah. Like, after this is basically a great... It's relative. After this, yeah. After we're done, yeah. Corey says in the Spreaker chat room, he said reptilians are very deceptive. This is one of the questions. I don't know if you came in at the front end of this, Corey, but in our last conversation with Rob through Joanna, reptilians are supposed to be actually higher beings, very advanced, non-reptilian looking. They don't look like reptiles. They don't look like the gecko from the insurance commercial. So what we're doing is we have to drill down into. Plus, he also called them. They don't like to be called reptilians. It's an offense to them. They are the Cyun, which is Cyun. And what we have to drill down into our next series of questions is how many different, I hate to say species, different types of beings are out there, and are we calling 3 or 4 different species reptilians, and there are actually 6 species. So, what are the ones we're seeing that look like lizards? Galen Chauncey looked at one that was a 4-foot guy with a tool belt on, and it was a lizard. Well, that's not when we talked about reptilians with Rob, he said, no, they're look like people, but they're not scaly things like that. So again, we're going to drill down into that, Corey. But thanks for bringing that up. I've got that down in here too. But he said these ones that for some reason that we were calling reptilians or what we pictured as reptilians were actually a very advanced group, and there are no aliens in the government. There's no alien advisors other than those probably intermediaries that would come down and say, look, this is what happened. We're sorry about taking the top off the Washington Monument, but it was foggy. But that's about the only time they're going to have interaction, or when you're being one country's being an idiot with nuclear weapons, or North Korea decides to land a astronaut on the sun or something. But that's our lovely group of coconuts, and I will be going through our list on our SOR Space Travelers chat room to just double check on the questions, and same with the speaker chat room. And I want to thank everybody for dropping by, and I will get a hold of you when our friend Joanna the Medium is back on. And I want to thank you, Elizabeth, for staying up so late and helping me with these questions.
You're welcome. It was fun. I liked doing it. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it was a pleasure being had. Oh, no, hold on.
Wait, no, yeah, it was a pleasure being had.
Yes,
No, wait, stop, no!
Oh. All right, everybody, keep an open mind.
This is our last goodbye. Young hearts will stop. Torn souls set free. All that we have is now. If this is what you want, then come to me.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. And hey! Let's be careful out there.
Far over the snow, what are those voices? They sing and they go. What are those voices? Look over the mountain. Because somebody hide, somebody better hide on through the hill, like a pack of angry wolves on the trail. We are after you, dead or alive. We are out to get you, dead or alive. And forget your soul. If you're the one, better run away. Son, you are done. Throw your gun away. Here come the Mounties to get the man they're after now. Run through the hill like a pack of angry wolves on the trail. Dead or alive, we are out to get you, dead or alive. If you're the one, better run away. Son, you are done. Throw your gun away. Here come the Mounties to get the man they're after.
I see dead people.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Dave's not here!
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection.